last time we played Tip was in playoffs. That series meant a lot for us because it meant that we don't have to use Settle for fourth.
Team Liquid breaks the curse.
그래도 저번 풀리그 때는 1대1이었기 때문에 이번에도 저희가 이길 가능성이 있다고 생각하고
We ended up winning that series. It was very close though. I expect a really close game. I'm looking forward to some really good duels against Impact. He knows most matchups really, really well.
제가 좀 더 잘할 수 있다는 생각 들고
We've gotten a lot better, and we're still progressing as a team. So I think our roster is really strong right now, and it's only going to get better.
또 리퀴드를 이기면 더 좋은 모습을 보여주지 않을까 생각해서
Welcome to our continuing coverage of Week 3 of the North American League Championship Series. As we're live from our studios here in Los Angeles, as you see just a moment ago, Team 8 hanging out in the player lounge with their coach history teacher. Just a short time ago, they'll be taken to the Rift against Cloud9 as we see Incarnation and the coaching staff heading to the stage for our first game of the day. Definitely going to be a team effort for them as they look for a win to shorten up their longest losing streak as an organization. Now, hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson. It's great to have you with us as we prepare for another full day of summer split action. To help us break down our first three matches, we've got Aiden Zyrene Moon, Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler, and David Freak Turley. And gentlemen, we have to jump in immediately into one of our biggest upsets of the day yesterday, Dignitas versus TSM.
Yeah, I think Dignitas has shown a lot of improvement as a team and an organization because this is Dignitas having 4 wins in a row, something they haven't done since spring 2014. It's been a year and a half since Dignitas has accomplished this. And a lot of that is due to they went in with Rico behind them. Knowing their win conditions, they came in with a game plan and they knew what to do near the mid and the end of the game. And the capitalization that they had was a really good mark of improvement for Dignitas. So I think this is a team that, I don't know if they're contender for first place, but they're definitely a contender for playoffs and top 3.
I think top 3 is lofty. I think they're definitely going to be a playoff team in this shape right now, and the rate of their growth definitely has them going upwards. So it'll be good to see the rest of Dignitas this split.
Yeah, as far as the improvements, I think the decisiveness was one of the biggest things. They were able to make plays on Baron, and they were able to make the play to win the game after they got their one pick. I don't know if that's an effect of Helios or what, but they are, the shot calling got a lot more decisive.
All right, well, fans looking to read more on Team Dignitas should check out the Shifter interview on lolesports.com titled, "I Feel We Can Win Every Game." But now I want to talk about Team Impulse. Now, they had a commanding win yesterday and are just one game behind Team Liquid, setting the two teams on a collision course for our game of the week today.
And I'm actually very interested in Team Impulse's growth over this split so far. Right now, I think they actually deserve to be in that contenders box that we talked about yesterday. I think they're definitely top 6, probably significantly better than that. And the thing is, even though they're only 3-2 right now, well, that's tied with TSM. They're pretty good, obviously. And the schedule's been really difficult for TIP in the first place. Their losses are to TSM and CLG, which most people consider the top 2 teams in the league in the first place. So, oh no, they lost to the top 2 teams. They're only the 3rd best team in North America, whatever. Honestly, we saw them play yesterday. They had the most dominant win we have seen in, it was 2013, the last time we had a perfect game in North America, and they only gave up 1 dragon. So this is one of the most dominant performances we've ever seen from these guys.
And that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy watching Team Impulse. It's good to have them in the league because they demonstrate the advantages that you can gain from a quicker paced game. And that's something that a lot of other North American teams, they've kind of lost sight of. And, no North American LCS team right now is above reproach. They all have things to improve on. But I'm glad that Team Impulse are here and they're keeping the rest of the teams honest.
Yeah, I absolutely love that because other teams are going up against them saying, these are our glaring weaknesses against this type of composition and this type of play style. So it improves the league as a whole when you have that type of diversity. And they're up against Team Liquid today. And Team Liquid needs to get a read on Impulse. Dom talked about the guy named Warlock, who they added.
The Warlock.
So the Warlock. The Warlock. He cast some magic on their champion select. Because this guy, apparently he's writing down what they play and player tendencies, which apparently helps Dom with his jungle routes. But how do you get a read on something that's so random? Because when we look at Team Impulse, we're always like, what are they doing? We don't even know if they know what they're doing. So is the tendency just to be random? Like, how do you get a read on this team? That's going to be huge today.
The individual plays of Team Impulse seem like they come at sporadic times and are a little bit random, but the team itself is really predictable in the way that they're going to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely agreed there. And while we're on the topic of top teams, you mentioned CLG. There were a lot of fans who were hoping to see if CLG could shake off the TSM hangover. And yesterday, the answer was a resounding yes. CLG turned in a decisive win against Gravity.
Once again, great start to the season for CLG. I have to say, though, their solo lanes look better than ever.
Yeah.
And as far as the whole thing of starting off the season great and then falling off later, I think that this new coach that they brought in, Coach Chris Blurred Limes, the most important thing he's bringing to the table for the guys is the work ethic that he's been able to instill. Just from the videos that I've been seeing, the interviews that we've seen from them, should be a good improvement for them down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely agree. I have nothing but really good things to say about Counter Logic Gaming, and every split looks like this where they start really strong and they fall off. And last split, it was attributed to the fact that other teams were improving faster than CLG. CLG wasn't strictly getting worse, but other teams got a whole lot better. This time around, it looks like CLG has that upward trajectory, and it's not going to, they're not affected by gravity in this trajectory.
Hopefully their trajectory is better than Smithy's Gragas Ultimates were yesterday.
Well, but as we saw yesterday, they really weren't affected by gravity.
Exactly. Yes. So we'll see if that trend can continue. Hopefully they avoid plateauing. But let's pull up the standings to see how things are shaping up. In first place, we do have CLG, Team Dignitas, and Liquid. One game back in fourth is Gravity, Impulse, and Team Solo Mid. Enemy Esports starts the day in seventh, followed by Cloud9 and Team 8 in eighth place. Then in last, it's TDK. Now, as we switch to today's schedule, we're starting our day with Cloud9 versus Team 8. Following that, TSM will face off against Team Dragon Knights. A little later, Team Dignitas will look to extend their winning streak when they go toe-to-toe with Gravity. Then closing out the day, it's CLG versus Enemy Esports. Now, smack dab in the middle of the day is our game of the week, Team Impulse and Team Liquid. A lot to watch out for in that match as Team Liquid will try to fend off Xiaowei Zhao and company to keep a hold of their first place position. And the clash of the top lane Titans with Quas versus Impact should be worth the price of admission alone. Well, there comes a moment in every professional's career when one bad decision can rock them to their core. For top laners in North America, there's one common mistake that many are guilty of, and it keeps them up at night.
Dear God, why? Why did I think it'd be a good idea to give Balls Rumble again?
He's ready to roll it out across the whole team. They're forced to flash, but they are still getting melted.
I just question every decision I've ever made in life. He just lands so many good equalizers.
Throws down the equalizer on a Dyrus, and he's right there. That is how you rumble.
I imagine they think like, oh, it's okay. He's got Rumble. He hasn't played in a while. But like after the game, we're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have given him Rumble.
That's the start of the fight. Zion Spartan's gonna get burned up, but so is Meteos.
That is probably the worst decision I've ever made in my life twice. So I definitely am not going to make that decision a third time.
Balls is one scary Rumble. He can outplay you massively 2v1 situations.
Now Impaler takes the hit. That's gonna be double bust over to top lane.
Every time I win on Rumble, I'm just satisfied that I'm able to get another win on my favorite champion. It's just a good feeling.
Balls' Rumble is the pinnacle of all Rumbles. Giving Rumble to him was definitely a mistake.
They're gonna wipe down Team Solo Mid here. Bjergsen very low, can only do a few things from the outside.
When you've mastered a champion that well, it's just scary.
Every time I pick Rumble, I don't even think about my win streak. It just happens that I just win every time.
I think it's like an extra advantage for the teams against Cloud9 because the top laner themselves are the ones banning to be like, no, I've played against this before. I'm clicking the champion anyway.
It's like, I made the mistake once, not gonna, 2 times, okay, not gonna get
I'm in control now, coach or not. I'm the one clicking the mouse, so.
Third ban Kalista. It's like, why'd you ban Rumble? I don't
Oh,
know, man.
Misclick.
We'll have to see in our first game of the day whether or not Rumble makes it through that ban phase. Let's throw it over to our casters to get us onto the Rift.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Hello, everyone. I am Rivington Biz III, and with me is my co-caster and part-time life coach, Joshua Jatleesman.
Yeah, make sure to not just grab meat for lunch today, Riv.
There you go. See, part-time. We're loading up for our first game, a battle for 8th place, or battle for 8th and 9th place between Cloud9 and Team 8, if you get it relative. For Cloud9, they are on a 4-game losing streak, which is a record for the new team, one they really don't want.
Yeah, and it's hard really for any team to get used to losing, but especially Cloud9, who's been on top for so long. Because like last split, High could be a focus of a lot of the frustration when Cloud9 was losing, but now with High gone, the remaining members, they have to be introspective and figure out what's not working. And it's not like they haven't started the split poorly before. Last split they were 1-3, but of course this split they're 1-4, and that's worse.
Math. Some good math right there. On the other side of this matchup, Team 8 secured their first win of the split, even if it was a little shaky. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, the win wasn't pretty, but it still counts. They got that win in part to Slushi, who continues to be a consistent performer for them in the mid lane. But now, Team 8, they kind of need to shift their focus from just avoiding last to climbing their way up the standings. And right now, it's honestly a time to strike because they are tied with Cloud9, and Cloud9 is looking vulnerable.
And it is hard to judge a team from the first 2 weeks. So Sneaky says Cloud9 aren't going to take Team 8 for granted.
I think Team 8, along with every other team, will rise in the rankings just because as the season progresses, everyone learns how to play the game better. It kind of happens every season where some people start off slow, some people start off fast. I think they'll catch their stride soon. They should be a strong team. No one to underestimate.
Yeah, maybe speaking a little bit from experience, some people start slow, some people pick it up because Cloud9 has been through it before, and both these teams need to pick it up right now.
But everybody will rise in the standings.
In wins, sometimes.
Guarantee that, yeah. Let's check out the starting lineups as we get into this one and see who rises in the standings in this victory. Blue side, it's going to be Cloud9 to start. That's Balls in the top lane, Meteos in the jungle, Incarnation in mid, Sneaky at AD carry, Lemonation at support.
And their opponents today on the red side, of course, is Team 8 with Cali Trolls in that top lane, Porpoise in the jungle, Slushi mid lane, Nien his second LCS week with the team on AD carry, and Dodo on support.
So what can Cloud9 do to stop the bleeding? What can Team 8 do to continue the wins here? Nien said yesterday he's trying to focus more on himself personally because, the team has already been there. They've kind of grounded themselves with their structure. He wants to be able to fit into that better as a player.
Well, we know Team 8's game yesterday was pretty messy in a lot of ways, but they ended up winning it by getting team fight after team fight victory. So the key thing here for Team 8 is kind of to neutralize this early game or maybe even get a lead because specifically if Nien gets the lead or stays even, that's when they found wins. Cali Trolls having lead hasn't necessarily led to victories. So I think a lot of it for Team 8 has to do with either neutralizing or having an advantage in their bottom lane.
And I'm sure Team 8 is saying, what a time to be playing Cloud9.
Rumble ban.
Victory to come here with how far they have been falling down. And Rumble's the first one out. They don't make the same mistake. They are right on board with Zion Spartan in that mindset. LeBlanc and Hecarim also banned out. See Cali Trolls. Actually, just a lot of Hecarim in general yesterday was wreaking havoc on the Rift.
Absolutely. History teacher. Knows the history of Balls' 17-0 LCS Rumble score.
He does.
Also banning away the Rise, so double top lane bans thus far for Team 8.
See if the Alistar Kalista get through here has been pretty big priority as well. The Sivir, however, is going to be knocked out. We've seen the utility that has brought to teams from behind, able to re-engage fights, get the picks they want. No Sivir for either of these teams to start off day 2 here in week 3.
We keep talking about what a crazy patch this is for Champion Select, only because there are so many power picks. Sometimes I actually don't like watching Champion Select when there's so many power picks because they're just, well, I guess this is up. Gragas, he's the jungle guy. And they first pick it right there. Because only some of these bans can be considered strategic. So the Sivir ban, even though she is a bit of a power pick, can still be considered a strategic ban.
For sure.
Sivir either sets up or disengages team fights pretty much better than any other AD carry. I know Varus and Ashe can get it with the crowd control early, but the move speed in general is fantastic for Sivir. And considering Cloud9 actually had some very poor team fights yesterday against Team Liquid, they don't want to allow Team 8 with Sivir to kind of just run into them and force team fights that Cloud9's not ready for. So that's the one nice ban I see out of this.
Really kind of highlighting that organization Cloud9's trying to find within Incarnation in the mid lane, within the 5 members of their team now. So far, the Gragas can kind of pick some out, put some into a position where Incarnation can pick them off for the rest of the team. We'll see how much more chaotic they can make that composition, or how much they can synergize with it. The other side, pretty nice pickups. Porpoise looks like he's going to be a nuisance in the jungle. New pickup there, and the Alistar coming in for Dodo, so they definitely have the ability to go late game fights.
Yeah, and quite honestly, Team A could be going for a very similar team comp to what they had yesterday. Yesterday, they ran the Nunu jungle with an Azir mid lane and a Jinx AD carry, so he had 2 pretty blood-boilable targets. With the Rek'Sai still up, it kind of just goes to show the teammate is looking for a more teamfight-focused, jungle control, and most importantly, a strong front line to maybe control these team fights, which they're hoping this game comes down to. Yeah, the Alistar has also been huge throughout this entire young summer split, pretty much across all regions. A lot of that has to do with supports doing more and more roaming early on in the game, and Alistar is just kind of unmatched with those early ganks, not to mention once he hits 6 for turret dives. Ooh, Karma support for Lemon Nation.
All right.
So Lemon Nation has actually been spamming this Karma support in solo queue. While doing
who played it. I was trying to draw in my brain as why I'm silent who played it recently in another region, but I can't remember. Maokai also picked up.
It definitely happened, though.
It did.
I guarantee that.
I know they didn't get the win on it, but we'll pass over that for now. Going to be an interesting bottom lane for this. Lemon Nation likes to be a nuisance. If that Karma's not incarnations, then he's going to be able to go into the jungle, pretty much provide a lot of damage if they try to get that lane swap in from what he likes to do and likes to be the nuisance of his own. Bard's still up on the other side as well here, seeing teammate put the composition together. Will Dodo play that? But where would Alistar go, guys? Where would Alistar go?
Where would he go? Come on.
I'm sorry.
In the jungle. It's time for top lane Alistar.
Bring it back.
This just in. He can now punch people after his auto attack. He actually can't, so he's definitely a support. Looks like we're probably seeing another Smite TP Fizz in the top lane.
Yep.
That, even though Cali Trolls has yet to play it, this LCS split, that is a Cali Troll special top lane champion. He actually played a lot of top lane Fizz before the Cinderhulk meta, so he's got the Fizz skills. Tank Fizz obviously plays much differently, but I do like it out of Cali Trolls for that type of play style.
Speaking with a few of the members, Cali Trolls' champion pool is much more talked about amongst the team before things are actually played. It's kind of discussed. The team wants it as well. It's not going to be, we'll try this and go off these strats. So, team on board with the Fizz. A lot of people have been lately, so we'll see some good power coming out of the top lane here. It's going to be going against Balls Maokai. He can also provide for the team in those late fights. Meteos gets big on the Gragas. Slow picks coming in here. I was wondering if we would see a Varus incarnation. Explicitly said he likes to be aggressive in the mid lane. Now he can do so. We've seen a lot of regions. Recently, Pawn wrecking face with some Varus in the mid lane. So we'll see if we can get it here in the
Really nice. Really nice poke mid laner as well as a cleanup AD carry. And substantial shielding that can come through from Karma. Should be really fun to watch here. We've seen Incarnation practicing a lot of the meta picks throughout his time in North American solo queue. A lot of that has been Azir, which unfortunately for Cloud9, they've picked up 2 losses on. But this one is just almost mid-game focused poke champion, and Cloud9, this whole team wants to snowball the mid-game. Echo, by the way, has made it through this entire pick and ban phase.
I would love the Echo pick, actually, for this. I have not seen it go up against an AD mid. And we haven't really seen Slushy go too hard. He does like his LeBlanc, likes his Orianna, but it looks like he's going to stay safe on the Azir here. A little bit more zone if they get it.
It's a fairly telegraphed pick after they pick the Corki, because they want a viable Blood Boil target for the Nunu, and it's also something they found success with yesterday. So late game in team fights, if Cloud9 cannot close onto the Azir, he is going to destroy them. And that's basically what happens with Blood Boiled Azir, who gets the attack speed bonus for his Sand Soldiers, which hit with very impressive AP ratios. Pretty perfect Blood Boil target.
Well, these guys like to team fight, and that's how they were winning yesterday. We'll see if they can keep the map control under control as well, if you will. Something they were letting go to the wayside when focusing on too many kills on the side of teammate. Cloud9 just overall looking to see if they can get that power back into position and start going up the right road.
That's true. I really like the Cloud9 team composition as well right here. It just seems like a nice balance of tank line with some successful support for them, especially if it's a tank Fizz diving into that back line. The Karma shields will be pretty immense to try and keep them alive.
Just keep it in the mind, let some Varus Qs go out, get some pokes, lower health, kill the enemy team. Hopefully they don't get dived on too hard with teammates engaged in this one. Now you've got to look at the comps. Head over to Twitter and send hashtag C9win or hashtag T8win to @LOL Esports, and we'll be tallying those up throughout the game already into week 3. The summer split's going. This year itself has gone by so fast, and we've already had an amazing amount of action, and it's only going to continue all the way up till another week 9. Right now, we're going to get onto the Rift. Cloud9 versus Team 8. Cloud9 looking to stop the losing streak. Team 8 looking to get another win here.
Yeah, trying to end the week 2-0, which would be quite a turnaround from the 0-4 start that Team 8 so disappointingly had for themselves. Neither of these teams have had much joy in this split, though.
It's going to be difficult. Both found a struggling win, if you will. Cloud9's came after TSM was pretty much mashing them into the ground, and then they were able to pick themselves back up. Teammates, they had to really fight, and even had a few mistakes where Nian would get caught out in the middle of the game, and they'd have to fight back to get their lead. So
something that keeps happening for Cloud9 is they are actually falling fairly far behind in the first 15 minutes or so of the game. I mean, even against Team Liquid, by the time 17 minutes rolled around, they were down 3,500 gold. From there, they were actually able to claw their way back to about a 500 gold deficit, and then they lost in the team fights. But that's not very characteristic to when Cloud9 was dominant, where just by sheer mechanical skill and laning, they'd usually have an advantage on opponents, and that's what snowballed into team fights. But when you have the disadvantages, snowballing into team fights just takes you out of the game.
You just saw Meteos going wherever he wanted, doing this and that. Like you said, because the lanes were winning, everything seemed so much easier. Boom! Third shot. Just being a bit of a bully. Calitroll should be able to come back to the lane just fine.
Yeah, trying to delay his recall as long as possible because they're expecting some type of double jungle start from Calitrolls, and they want to make it so he cannot make it there. However, this is really interesting, actually, because Teammate's been able to make it into this side of the jungle, not necessarily spotted. It is a suspected invade.
Yeah.
But at the moment, Teammate's going to be able to get this red fairly cleanly.
Do it right quick. No ward to see Dodo or Nian on the way out here. Be a little bit of cat and mouse, but he just makes it away. Meteos is going to find just a little guy.
Yep.
Interesting start.
Yeah.
See how far Porpoise can actually get with this.
Porpoise is going to regret not taking that little guy because there's about a quarter of the experience of the entire camp in just one of those small camps. So he ended up handing out over that experience to Meteos at not much cost. And Meteos will still be able to get his blue buff, which is the main buff that matters early game for Gragas. So buff-wise, technically, Teammate can come out ahead. But experience and gold-wise, it actually doesn't help them very much.
Balls did make it to the top lane first, so he starts to clear a bit here. Should have a lead with Wolves under his belt in that experience as well. As Incarnation starts to take a bit of aggression here from the mid lane. We'll see how he fares in this one. Like I said, he himself said he wants to be able to be aggressive, but that hasn't really helped the team in the early game. He actually shies away from the aggression every so often. Doesn't want to be the guy to fail. That's a big stress to have on your shoulders.
Yeah. There's a lot of stress on a lot of these guys, especially with the early struggles that they're having.
You heard Meteos talk about being behind when High was on the team. It didn't feel like they were behind. They always knew what to do. Now it's kind of a moment where they're stuck, and the decisions they make may not be the right ones.
Yeah, all this stuff takes time
yeah.
For them to eventually improve. But right now we actually get to see Meteos knowing he's going to have a level edge on Porpoise because of the way the early buff started, trying to get in a little bit of harass. Maybe even
would love
get
that
himself
red
a red buff. But in order for this to happen, either Incarnation or Balls has to be able to shove up the lane and then make the rotation down. Otherwise, it's far too risky of an invade.
He's got a shove onto Cali, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Not close enough to the turret here, and no response from Incarnation as these two are pretty much neck and neck in the mid lane. So not going to be able to get his red. Porpoise is going to be able to 3 this one. Start it off. We haven't seen too many teams really be able to work this early game advantage.
Yeah.
Kind of just falls to the wayside, and the opposing team will figure out a way to get a fight back in their favor. Ooh.
Look at this little slap fest up here.
200 HP on Balls. That's going to be the hit. Tick goes down, but he's already got the consumables going in. Both of them blowing summoners left and right. So that's a flash TP down and a TP smite down.
Yeah, this is actually really bad for Balls in the top lane on Maokai, though, because the wave is pushed against him. Both of their teleports are down. So basically, if Balls goes back here, he's going to miss a couple of waves of experience that Calitrolls is going to be able to get. Since Balls started the camp, teleported in the lane, and then still lost the lane, it's going to put him at a pretty big disadvantage. Yeah, Calitrolls is just successfully freezing that lane up there.
Yep, Porpoise already got some forward vision in, so a bit of an advantage here to teammate in the early game. They're going to have eyes on Meteos if he's in the top side, and if he's not in the top side, they're going to know that because he's not on the ward.
I do want to spend a small amount of time to talk about the new Karma, though, because in the 5.10 patch, Karma was changed a little bit to be less of a mid laner and more of a support. So, for instance, her E, the shield she puts on, when she mantras it, it used to be this explosion of damage. Now it's just a much more powerful shield when you do that mantra. So, at max rank, it's actually a 410 base shield before the AP ratio is put into account, which is massive, but of course won't do any damage. And in this rare case, if you mantra your root, you can root someone for over 3 seconds, which will be very rare because the shield is so powerful.
So look at this. Meteos level 4, and he got 3 buffed over the level 3 of Porpoise so far, so doing what he needs to.
Yeah, and we've actually seen 2 3 buffs this week that haven't necessarily panned out for the team. Yesterday, the CLG game against Gravity, there was a successful 3 buff, but because the buffs themselves were over-prioritized and the small camps themselves weren't being cleared, in the CLG vs Gravity game, for instance, by the time they had a 4v4 skirmish, there was a level advantage for all 4 members of CLG over Gravity because of the 3 buff. And this is another thing. Porpoise only taking the buffs, not clearing the small camps nearly as well as Meteos, leading to a level disadvantage and ultimately not an actual advantage from getting the buffs early.
Trying to get the wards in. He obviously won't find anything on the top side of this, or I should say the bottom side of this map. You would figure that as he just saw Meteos on his side of the jungle, but bot lane gets a little love as there's a 1v1 in the mid lane, down to 200 HP. Hail of Arrows goes out, doesn't have enough for a piercing arrow, and it probably would have needed 2 autos on the end of that one. He puts himself a little too deep. Incarnation goes for that aggression, but it's not going to be enough for Porpoise either. Oh, the slap fights.
Yeah, there was a lot of patience being displayed by both of those mid laners. Notice how they both have both of their defensive summoners up. Flash heal and flash barrier. They just knew there wasn't legitimate kill threat from either the Nunu or the Varus themselves. Smart of them to hold on to their summoners. Just a big game of chicken, basically, trying to burn a summoner that both those guys were playing.
They held it. They pretty much ran face-to-face into each other on that one. We'll see who wins on the next one. A great game of chicken indeed. Meteos to clear Raptors. We'll see here where he heads with this. Get some clearing on the map as well. Already's used the sweeper once, so Sneaky gets bounced off his rocket.
That's too bad for Sneaky, actually. Mainly in the Jinx versus Corki matchup, you have different item timings. The Corki wants to start rushing his Trinity Force components, whereas the Jinx wants to rush a BF Sword. Sneaky had the BF Sword, and that recall is going to delay it. But now we have a dive onto Balls. Missed the fish.
Whether he's on Rumble or not, definitely very hard to dive this guy in the top lane. He's able to get out. Good twisted advance at the right time, saving some HP. Getting his rear out safe.
Yeah, even if the fish landed, level 4 Nunu with a Sidestone coming in to assist that gank really isn't much. But nonetheless, it goes to show Calitrolls did have the edge in that lane. Maybe forfeit a little bit of it early on. What's interesting is he has the TP Smite, but he is foregoing an early Cinderhulk completely. Going straight into Trinity Force Fizz.
That's the point.
That's fun.
Shifting Sands, Emperor's Divide does not get the range on Incarnation. It would have put him right in the turret range, and that is an error from Slushy and a first blood for Incarnation.
Yeah, that Emperor's Divide's a tricky skill right there. Slushy thought he was in range to knock him back. It looked like he was going to be in range to knock him back. But ultimately, when he all-in like that, did not land the ultimate. It just kind of set up an easy kill for Incarnation.
There it is. Incarnation smiling with the Faker and the Pawns of the world, playing Varus in the mid lane.
Get it! A smiteless invade for the blue buff steal. Meteos actually punishing Porpoise pretty heavily. Gragas versus Nunu this game.
He got angry. Usually it's the other way around. Usually Nunu's having his way with your jungle.
You took my red buff. Coming at you.
You took my red buff. I'm taking everything you ever owned. Scuttles as well, owned by Meteos in the mid lane. Meteos Industries taking over. 9 minutes on the clock, and it looks like a good lead. You were talking about Sneaky wanting to back. It's because he has a 20 CS lead. At that point, he was already 1,800 gold. And he even put it up to a few more CS. And instead of boots, he went for the pickaxe too. So they're going to win just about any trade in that bot lane.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Nian's sitting on 2,200 gold. Ultimately, I imagine he's waiting for a Sheen and a Phage, which, no, he's going back right now. Wanted to go back.
So close.
The timing itself, as far as Miss Minions, won't be bad, but yeah, he just, Nian's considering. He had the Phage, and he's like, nope, I want the Sheen. Sheen and the Health Crystal? Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
For immediate damage in the lane.
But don't you just want to buy the Mana Crystal and the ability to...
He wanted both of them.
Why not?
But he didn't have enough money.
Oh, that buy hurts. That's good, though. His works out. He definitely went for the damage and the Phage. I like it. 85 to 15% here. Teammate really working against the vote as much as they can. More forward pushing here by Teammate. They want to slow down Meteos just a little bit. He's been making things way too easy for the rest of the lanes.
Hey.
This may be the point they get it here. He's going to body slam out, chum the waters. Slushy can't get into range for any more than just sand soldier damage. Easy to say. Just miss.
Limited ward coverage right there, which kind of led to Cali Trolls being able to roam down to that bottom lane without being called at all by the top lane. Ends up costing Meteos both his flash and his body slam. Will curb the aggression early on in this match. And we still need to talk about the team comp. So Teammate is actually looking to split here, going into the mid or late game. Slushy obviously giving up the solo kill kind of really hurts that, because if Varus can get the mid-game snowball going before people have a lot of armor, the poke and siege potential of that is massive, especially when they have Karma's giant Montred shield for disengage in the mid-game. So Cloud9 is actually kind of on pace for a good mid-game snowball here with the way their lanes are going. Ball's been getting beat on a little bit, but hasn't suffered a casualty. Meteos ahead of Nunu to kind of helpfully deny the vision control. Most importantly, this Varus poke is going to be brutal.
Yeah, by this time when Boss was playing Fizz against Liquid, they already had a few kills on him. Much more aggressive. And they tried once, but with the Maokai, he was able to stay alive under the turret and really thwart the attempt from Teammate. So they are still trying, just not coming up with anything in the end. Hopefully the team fights we were talking about for Teammate are really start stacking that money in their pockets. Just about 2K gold behind right now. Dragon hasn't really been a thought on either of their teams, and small trades here by Teammate in the bottom lane as they try to get the win.
Yeah, you could see though Lemon Nation popping the Inspire shield on right as Alistair comes in, so Sneaky's saying relatively safe.
I'm surprised Nian
still that CS advantage too.
Yeah, I'm surprised Nian is this far behind on his Corki. Nian's the guy who was in mid on Corki, the guy who's been AD on Corki. That's one of his champions, so they're giving him a very difficult lane if that's the way it's going.
It's what's been happening with Yen in the LCS, though. When he hasn't been in a lane swap scenario, he's been down.
That's, the lane swap.
On average, at least 7.5 CS at 10. This game, even more. Sneaky and Elimination have kind of been the strong point of Cloud9. Yet teams that have beaten Cloud9 have put a lot of pressure onto that bottom lane. Porpoise, because he's been so shut out this game on Nunu, hasn't really applied any ganks. Nunu himself doesn't really apply many ganks. He's more about shutting down the other jungler. So thus far, like the Nunu purpose from Porpoise has been not that impressive.
Yeah.
But Dragon,
that was very close.
Oh. Everyone is ready for the steal.
I thought it actually took it at first.
Yeah, somehow Porpoise did
Nian got it.
Smite at the right time.
So something happened there. Oh man, that too. Right down to about 75% HP. Here comes another one just to the backside of Slushy, and this turret should be going down regardless soon. We see Meteos starting to push a little bit towards the river, and they may start to get good pressure. Pink ward from Slushy should keep him safe from the overall dive, but you can see how much more C9 wants to push this. There's the pings on Meteos.
Yeah, they're really applying pressure to this mid and bottom lane, which is another thing that's allowing Meteos to create these advantages on a Porpoise in the jungle.
Yep.
Of course, Cloud9 going for this mid-game snowball. If they don't get it, they're going to still be at danger of Slushy's blood-boiled Vizier later into the game. I mean, that's kind of how Teammate picked up their win against Enemy yesterday, even though Porpoise was really far behind on Nunu, since when they double jungled, he actually gave a lot of early farm to Cali Trolls, his Smite top laner, and Hecarim, who then was able to snowball the game from that as well. So Porpoise can play from a deficit on Nunu. He's done that before and can do it quite well.
Man, it's going to be hard.
This game, it's going to be hard.
Walking around a security system of wards right now. Meteos was just able to put in, along with clearing that pink ward that Slushy put up. This could be the kill. Oh, right into the turret. That's what he wanted. The flash out from Incarnation. It's going to be Meteos to help him pick up the kill as they 2v1 dance around the mid lane.
Woo. So this time Slushy does get the Emperor's Divide back into the turret, but it's not enough because Meteos was there to help him out on the other side. Turret under immense pressure, but Incarnation obviously too low to withstand. Picking up that Brutalizer and pickaxe though.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
They had their eyes on the mid lane and pretty much stuck with it until they found Slushy to go down again. He's 0-2-0. Like you said, those summoners are blown on him, so it's gonna be harder for anything to happen for Team 8. A little bit of a breather here for Cloud9. They're pretty happy with what just happened, and they took bottom turret in that instance as well with the pressure that Sneaky and Lemonation are putting on. 142 to 118, just cuz.
He wanted to steal it.
He's close.
Couldn't steal it. They need to go back to base as well because Corki just hit his Trinity Force item timing, and Sneaky needs to match that with an Infinity Edge. Being able to kill that turret, though, just kind of goes to show the superiority that Sneaky and Lemon had in that lane. Jinx Karma versus Corki Alistair.
Every time they kind of, I wouldn't say bring something new to the lane. We've seen things before, but the way they play it on the LCS stage, now the Karma Jinx for this split, it just kind of takes people by surprise. Nien and Dodo not having the greatest time in that bot lane. Have finished the Trinity Force, as we were saying. But Lucidity Boots here for Lemon Nation to keep that harass on as they were in the lane.
There's a lot going on in this game as far as Cloud9 being able to dominate the mid and bottom lane. But I'm really curious as why Cali Trolls has a Smite top laner and no Smite item going Trinity Force first. Because if he wanted a combat summoner, he could have won the lane with Smite Teleport. He would have killed balls in 1v1s if he... Sorry, not Smite Teleport, with Ignite Teleport.
Right, okay.
Like a Hecarim would do if he's going to go
almost had me.
with the
Like,
Smite or the Ignite. Yeah, sorry about that.
Very good.
But because if he's going this Smite Teleport thing, the reason that's good is when you get challenging Smite, it's like a slightly weaker Ignite on a shorter cooldown, and you can use it to duel people consistently.
Yeah.
At this point, he's only going to have that Smite item really late into the game. Maybe he's not even going to go Cinderhulk. I just think it's a weaker early game strat where he could have had an early game advantage.
Dive number 2. They try once again. They are going to have a third member here. This is where Cali Trolls can start to get himself a little bit back into the game if they hadn't got enough already. That one goes over to Nien. They do get the assists in, but a lot of resources to the bot lane for what's happening top.
Yeah, the question is how much is that going to cost them? Yes, they picked up their first kill of the game onto balls, but what does Cloud9 get after it? Teammates not even getting their first turret, whereas Cloud9 is picking up their fourth thanks to that roam. If you're running an analysis after that one, definitely not worth.
No, hashtag not worth. It happens, even if you say it in chat. Minute and 30 onto Dragon. This preps nicely for Cloud9 to have time to set up more wards and play this one methodically. They haven't gotten themselves into any trouble just yet. That kill coming only from the bot lane because Balls was kind of left out to dry there. Not much anybody could do about that. Teammate knew that. Right onto Slushy, looking for the big one as well. Right back into the turret. Didn't actually get as much distance as they wanted. It may save his life. Oh! He's got just about 10 HP. And the absolute zero zones out the fight just enough, but he stays in range for the piercing arrow. One more coming from Incarnation before he hits the ground. And now they're on to Lemonation. He puts himself back in the fight, so hopefully Sneaky can get away. But somehow Teammate has found the fight. They call me wrong. Cloud9 did go too far, and they overstayed their welcome to get aced on this fight. It's only going to take a bit more. The big one hits, and he's going to get chomped down by the Wolves.
Far too far on the chase to get a Slushy kill. They did so much right that they felt cheated that they didn't get that Azir kill. First off, Meteos knocking him back to a flash as Azir, then he blocks his QE combo to keep him in range, but the Emperor's Divide rules all. It stops them from finishing the kill. Porpoise comes in, gets a full channel absolute zero in, and then the collapse actually arrives from Teammate to get cleanup afterwards. This game was so well controlled by Cloud9, and they just lost the majority of their advantage.
It just opened up for Teammate.
Yeah. First off, they speed him up with Karma, which is really nice. They knock him backwards. Meteos blocks the move. They think, great, he's dead. But they're pulverized at the beginning of an absolute zero, so they're too slow to get out of it. It blows them up as they're going through. The missile from Sneaky gets absorbed by the tank Alistair. Pretty much after the initiation, everything went wrong for Cloud9. Calitrolls arrives for the collapse on his Trinity Force Fizz, which gives him the gold, by the way, for the Cinderhulk, so he's now turned on as far as power is concerned. And it's right as the Dragon is respawning as well. That was so amazing for Cloud9, or for Team 8 in their quest to win this game.
And you could see Incarnation was thinking what everybody else was. Slushy's going to go behind the turret. He completely whiffed that Chain of Corruption, firing it where Slushy actually would have landed, but he stopped on the structure. So that was very big as well for that to happen in favor of Team 8. Dragon goes over now, not going to be stopped by Porpoise on that one. Nothing coming in the super rocket area. Oh, Nien very low. There's the rocket. Meteos gets to chum the waters. He's perfectly fine with that. He loves seafood. 6-5 now, 20.5 in, and you can see the gold leads closed up quite a bit here. The deficit is only about 2K now for Team 8. That Dragon helps them in their pursuit to 5, but they still have quite a long way to go.
Yeah, I didn't actually quite see how Nien got so low there. I was paying attention to Calitroll's flank around the side. That significantly hurts this turret game, again for Team 8, who's going to be playing pretty heavily from their back feet. Calitroll's trying to get that split push going as well, though.
It's good to see C9 not afraid to just get back out on the Rift and start going hard. They knew they had pretty much the bigger lead in the game, and they once again use it. Take a turret, pressure Dragon. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it.
It's a strange thing. Cloud9 had such a huge lead coming into earlier fights. Now we're going to get to see how people were actually low here. Nien gets popped by one Varus arrow coming through. Then he gets hit by more Varus stuff. Then another Varus thing. Literally, that was Incarnation hitting him with 3 poke spells. And then the finisher from Sneaky. Kind of goes to show the threat of the Varus poke once he's got that CDR coming through.
Also the focus of Incarnation in that instance.
Yeah, for sure.
Just getting crushed down. He's like, still got to hit backline. Ooh, a little scary there.
This game really accelerating in pace.
Sneaky heads back to the turret. Elimination, maybe to offer him some help with that Ardent Sensor he's now built up. Ooh. First item after Sightstone.
Ardent Sensor Karma. Obviously, Ardent Sensor was changed recently. It now applies a 30 magic damage on hit effect for 6 seconds to anyone you heal or shield, which, by the way, if he's doing AoE shields for both of his 80 carries, can be pretty impressive damage-wise. Cloud9 kind of still in control because of the 5 turret lead, but they have to make sure that they don't overcommit. Because if this does get to late game, the Blood Boiled Azir, despite being 0-3, because he will still have his items, he's doing significant damage, can still destroy them.
Looks like they're pretty good on waves. Calitroll's about to push the bottom one. Actually, they're getting, I should say, pushed in on waves. Looking at it again. Nien and Dodo in the top lane have good control over that. C9's going to say, group in the mid lane. What can we get out of this? Protect Incarnation, protect Sneaky. We should be able to come out clean on these fights. They actually aren't too pressured. Teammates just going to want to... Okay, so now they're coming in. I thought Nien was backing, and they start to come back over here. Interesting. They're just kind of waffling about right now.
Well, this is the game that Teammate's going to be playing. It's a split push game to try and prevent the 5-man siege from Cloud9.
Right.
Calitroll's at a point with his 202 Fizz, Trinity Force Cinderhulk, against Balls' Maokai, where Calitrolls will win that fight. So Cloud9 cannot 1-for-1 that split push, meaning they have to do these kind of creative rotations. We're not starting that ward thing again. Never in a million years. Anyway, where Calitrolls is drawing a lot of attention up from Cloud9, and Cloud9 needs to get all the way shoving without a split pusher in order to actually create one of these siege situations.
Thinking they had a quick engage. Looks like it was called off there. Maybe just safety for warding. And no, it is going to be a bit of an engage up onto Balls here. The team starts to collapse. They don't have Calitrolls, but the teleport is up. And he will throw that down already. He's going to be right in the midst of the fight on this. Stops the TP. He's going to start walking up. They may not feel like they could win this fight right off the bat.
Yeah, Calitrolls is now so far away. It's full retreat mode for Team 8.
Oh, twisted advance on in the end. Is the Valkyrie still there? He is actually stuck. There's the lockdown from Lemon Nation on the tether as well. The double kill for Sneaky. Things are just going wrong now for Team 8 as C9 starts to put the heat on.
Team 8 trying to exploit the wave clear of Cloud9. It almost looked like they caught Balls out of position, but the speed shields from Karma really reigning supreme. There's a nice knockback.
Hardly any damage to Meteos. Slushy was trying to get some pokes in, but he just gets shredded down himself. That's a triple kill overall for Sneaky. Two more, he's got the inside the park pentakill.
That's a game-changing event right now. Calitroll still with no teleport, trying to push the mid lane. There's too long on the death timers, no one to wave clear for teammate. This is probably an inhibitor down.
Wow, that teleport not coming through, completely affecting the fight, now costing an inhibitor. Cali trying to make up for it. He is going for broke on these inhibitors in the mid lane and might actually be able to get that turret down for his team here. He does have the Sheen proc to go with it.
Yeah, Trinity Force Fizz, an okay turret killer. Trying to proc the Trinity Force, but unfortunately when he Qs through a minion, that consumes the Trinity Force proc, so unless he's burning his Playful Trickster for another Triforce proc, he's not hitting the turret any harder. The attack speed, though, doing a little bit of work, unable to finish the whole turret. If he would have burned his Playful Trickster, he might have gotten it.
Took a little bit of damage, burned it over the wall. I'm perplexed.
Perplexed as to what just happened.
I feel like he knows something we don't.
Well, he wanted it to escape. He is a tricky one.
Oh, Incarnation. Love it. So he has got himself now Youmuu's on top of Last Whisper. A little bit of the old Legolas build for him. Those Lucidity boots to continuously throw out the piercing arrows. 20 seconds on to Dragon before we get a little bit of that fight. Oh!
Got him.
Chain of Corruption does hit. Nian got the cast for Valkyrie off. It only gave him a little bit of distance, but he still goes down. That's 2 members for teammate now lying on the ground. Incarnation trying to kite out of this one, but he gets trampled down by Dodo eventually, and they are going to be able to close in on this. We see that Sneaky got a kill on the top side there. They don't even want Dodo. Great focus, great call to go for the turrets.
And I love the confidence from Incarnation there to instantly flash ult onto them right there, because that will grant them the second inhibitor, maybe full control of the game. And that's not a play Incarnation would have thought to make earlier on in the season, because he didn't want to be the one to mess up.
No.
This time, he's the one to make the play, and it grants Cloud9 a good edge.
They all follow through on that one. Communication
Porpoise better hurry.
At least on point for the time being. We do know the late game to be where Cloud9 can make some mistakes. Here it looks like they're going to actually pick up one more advantage. The twisted advance. He's not going to be close enough. Oh, he steals the dragon. Porpoise gets out, though. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to chase, but Meteos. The tree versus a big man. Oh, here comes Incarnation from the other side. He's just going to pick himself up a freebie. Here's a gimme. Bloop. Gets him down.
Bullseye.
Bullseye. Right in the hole.
Yeah.
Nice.
Porpoise was up the
Sinks
creek
that
without a
one down.
paddle right there, trying to get the Dragon Steel. Anyway, let's watch this fight. So they already lance a poke onto Nian. Instant chain from Incarnation after the flash, and then comboing him. And also putting themselves in a position where the Emperor's Divide was used in a very strange way. Yes, the Emperor's Divide did kill Incarnation, but it also got rid of teammate's secondary carry. And they needed Azir to clear the waves afterwards. Basically, Cloud9 doing a great job of focusing down the Azir and Nian's Corki fight after fight. But mainly it's Cloud9's aggression this game, specifically Incarnation's willingness to be an initiator on the mid laner, which is, it's a factor that Cloud9 has been so used to playing with, having a mid laner who's willing to initiate, and it kind of needs to be there for Cloud9 to succeed, I feel like.
And it looks really good with them 5-8. Oh, ball. Nope, Meteos, look out. Balls does go in onto Porpoise. It's a very kind of tempered fight here. No, Dodo, however, in from the backside, really heats things up. Lemonation goes down immediately. No more shields from him. Slushy gets taken out, so he cannot help control the zone now. Calitroll still has a good amount of damage, but Sneaky has the peel. He has the kite. He has the quadra kill. 17-9. Cloud9 going for the last of the base.
Great positioning, that fight by Sneaky in particular. The rest of the fight was a whole bit of chaos. It looked like Meteos was trying to body slam to finish off the Raptors, but he killed them all, so his body slam took him right through the camp. Or it was all a brilliant plan for Cloud9 to get an ace and try and push in and end the game. Sneaky,
the ruse of ruses.
Kills it quick.
Porpoise doing what he can, get a nice blast onto Sneaky, try and slow down that attack speed, but it's not going to help too much. You can still see he has an ample amount of damage. One Nexus turret goes down. Minions pouring in the base of Team 8 here as Cloud9 get a huge win on that fight.
Yeah, I want to see the start of that fight again. That was an interesting one right there. If anything, it was an opportunity for Team 8 to try and come back into the game because Slushy wasn't immediately focused.
They had good initial hits, but the long fight just went to Cloud9.
Yeah. The double threat.
Let's see it again.
Yeah, so watch this. Meteos, he like smite barrels Like, he didn't even body slam into a person. If anything, he was going to go into a Nunu. Anyway, the Absolute Zero zones out for a little bit, and Dodo comes around with a pretty nice flank. Slushie then goes over the wall. He got off a tremendous spike there, but because Sneaky was positioned up top with his miniguns, not only can he solo out in the end, he can then turn his attention to the rest of the team. Heals to get the extra move speed after getting excited. Some crit rockets come in at some pretty opportune moments, and he just crushed them all. Because Incarnation got wiped out right at the start of that fight.
Been a few times where they can take or lose him and then keep going in the fight. Chain of Corruptions hit Callies. There's the zap as well, so they have full vision. Piercing arrow just off on the side. Shurima's Legacy is going to give a little bit of room to teammate, but not Slushie. He is invaded completely by that zap. Right onto Cali Trolls. Arcane Smash takes him down as well, and Cloud9 is not stopping. Anything that's in front of them is getting taken down right now.
Only one Nexus turret remaining. The Azir wave clear is gone. Yen trying desperately to spam rockets. I don't think it's going to be enough.
Not long for this world is that Nexus of teammates. 19-9 as Cloud9 come out with a pretty confident win here. It looks strong throughout. Meteos holding down his own jungle after being hit in the early game, and everybody came up for the victory. 21-9, 31 minutes in. Cloud9 take down Team 8.
Cloud9 now in 8th, and Team 8 now in 9th after this one. So not everything goes according to the script. Cloud9, of course, though, they're used to being first or second, so this win very important in their quest to get back into the top of the standings. Incarnation played much more aggressively this game. Cloud9 did not fall behind early, which is incredibly critical. They had that one pretty big misstep in the mid game, but then quickly recovered, which does fall down to the shot calling as well as the team synergy to not turn on themselves afterwards. And of course, probably Sneaky's best game so far this year, 10-1-7 on that Jinx.
Oh, pretty crazy on that Jinx. Now, you know, the question we look at, Cloud9, they do great in these games where they're ahead. They can continue to make the calls. A mistake here was fixed, but is that fully from behind going to be there for them? Can they call from 5K behind and bring themselves back into the game? We still got to look for that Cloud9 against the top tier teams in the league.
Yeah, looking at Porpoise on the other side as well. Nunu fell behind very early to Meteos.
Yeah.
Who we see here on the screen with his Gragas.
Man, still knows how to jungle. There's no question about that. Even putting more of the commentary, or I'm sorry, shot calling aspect onto his shoulders, jungling is still the fundamental thing for him, and he doesn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, and as a team, Cloud9 really ripped Slushie apart on his Azir. Slushie had one good Azir game yesterday, but he was just dead at the start of so many fights. 7 deaths, clearly the focus of this Cloud9 team. Lemon Nation breaking out the Karma support to much success. Just a much better game for Cloud9 across the board.
Yep, they got what they wanted in the lanes. We were talking a little bit about how we always see teammate in the end trying to go for the lane swap, and the Karma Jinx continued to punish them. That was pushed. Incarnation was pushed in the mid lane, giving Meteos the chance to get back in. Definitely a very big team effort here from everyone on Cloud9. And for Balls to thwart the few ganks that he did get that attention, definitely hurt teammates' chances of pushing themselves back early in the game.
Yeah. Jack, the owner of Cloud9, hoping the team is back on track.
Hoping indeed.
It's a tough 4-game losing streak for Cloud9. That's not something Cloud9 has experienced as an organization. So, very important for them to recover before the end of week 3. Still plenty to work on as a team, of course. They would have liked that to be a cleaner victory after having such an early game edge.
True. Good to see, as you said, Incarnation going a bit more aggressive. It only means that he's shaking off the nerves. Things are feeling more comfortable with the team. In a sense, him messing up that play would have actually still been very stressful. You can just kind of think about the situation. So feeling that comfortable to be the guy saying, all right, I'm going to flash go, and everybody on board definitely means the team's feeling a lot more synergized in what they're doing here. And I think we'll get better interviews with them saying, actually, this is working now, and our shot calls are going well.
Yeah, and things we have to remember is even though Incarnation has been playing the game for so very long and has been on top of the European solo queue ladder for years,
it's not the same.
Not even close. And this is only his 3rd week in front of a stage with a completely new team in a new country. So there's plenty of things that can still be improved upon. And this game, hopefully for Cloud9, is the beginning of that journey.
Absolutely. And right now we're going to send it down to Kobe, who's side stage with Cloud9's AD carry.
That's right. I'm here with Sneaky after his great Jinx game. Congratulations on your win. Now, I want to start off by talking about a couple of things that were changed recently. The Karma got changed and Ardent Sensor were changed. Lemon Nation used both of them. What are the pros for these?
Karma's always been like a lane dominant champion. You just poke them out, throw lots of, ulted Qs at them, make sure they're taking tons of damage. And then I think the buffs were she gets reduced cooldown on a passive when she hits people with their spells. So she's a better champion overall. I don't know if she's broken, but seems pretty good for our situation where we wanted to poke them out and just win lane that way.
So a lot of people also want to know, obviously, about the shot calling for Cloud9 because High left, in the transition over to Meteos. Is Meteos still doing the brunt of the shot calling? And, how are you guys transitioning and working through that period?
Yeah, we've kind of appointed him the shot caller. We've had some struggles actually full on listening to him because we were kind of used to the old phase of where everyone would feed information to High and then he would make the final decision, except Meteos would also be feeding information. So now we have to go to him rather than to High. So it's been a weird dynamic that we're getting used to, and it might take a few more weeks to get fully used to it.
All right, well, you definitely made progress today. Incarnation also had a great game, so that's looking up for you guys. Good luck in the future, and we are going to send it back to the guys at the desk.
Thank you, Kobe. A much-needed victory there for Cloud9 for them to kind of get themselves back on track. And, the first thing I want to point out here is that they had a winning early game. We've only seen that one other time so far, this split from Cloud9.
Yeah, and a lot of that was off of the fact that they were making these early game moves and they were just rotating around. So Cloud9 looked a little bit better in that regard, but there's still a lot of work to be done in their mid-game.
Yeah, so I do want to keep on the early game for a little bit because there are two things specifically I looked at. One was a dual lane. I actually just had Sneaky on follow on my computer down here because he's really, really good at League of Legends. So the Sneaky Lemon lane is really cool because they abused Alistar. Even though Alistar's an amazing champion, TIP had 0 bans against him when they first picked it, ostensibly saying Alistar's the best champion in the game. Alistar does not do anything until he's level 2 or 3. So the first wave gets cleared, and Cena doesn't push it. They go, wait, minion for minion, minion for minion. And then as soon as the second wave shows up, they both walk forward and say, Alistar, you can't engage. We're 2v1ing you. And immediately, Nian and Alistar just run away, Dodo, the other guy, run away and have to hide for 4 consecutive waves. And Cena never lets up. They're always playing the poke game. They're never getting engaged upon. And so the way they play the lane was super good, and they keep it up. The reason this works is because Meteos is completely holding down Porpoise. Even though he gets 3 buffed, Meteos is ahead in gold the entire time. He even steals camps away, and there's never any threat of a Nunu gank working. And even though C9 are zoning them out, they're not pushing into the turret. They're not in flash pulverized headbutt range of getting killed either. So the entire way they're playing this dual lane and building this huge advantage is played pretty much immaculately from 2 different spots on the map.
Yeah, and the fact that you talked about the jungle there, C9, the games that they've lost so far, a lot of it had to do with jungle pressure in the lanes. When there's a Nunu on the enemy team, it's the first time that Cloud9 has to deal with a Nunu on the enemy team. It was actually a boon for them because they're like, oh, this Nunu's not going to show up and be like a Zac, a Zingy, or a Rek'Sai that shows up and crushes our bottom lane. Sneaky got a CS advantage. He was able to transition that. And this is something that I do want to go over and look at Team 8 for a second here. Because Nian, he has not had a CS lead at 10 minutes yet out of all his games so far. This was a lane that they were able to exploit on Cloud9's side and press that advantage. Sneaky did 1.9 times Nian's damage this game because he grouped up and they played around him and Incarnation, which I thought was just a great formula for Cloud9, is unlocking Incarnation to make plays.
Yeah, so let's identify kind of where C9 is going in terms of developing their play style, because as Jat has mentioned previously, they need to make a decision. Is Incarnation being brought into the team in order to replace High and be a new High, right? Be the initiator, be kind of a leader for the team, or does the team need to readjust around Incarnation? And here, he seemed to have stepped up, being the initiator very often with those Varus ultimates.
Yeah, so there's 2 ways to look at a player. So one is the impact the player has on the team and the impact the champion has on the game. And as far as initiating, I agree. The first time we started talking to Incarnation, he says, I want to be in people's face. I want to make plays. I want to do big things. And AP Kaga is good, but he's not exactly that. I mean, sometimes it can be, but him playing something a bit more engaged focused like a Varus, and, if he wants to start playing the Dianas or the Victors of the world where you're kind of in the thick of things, that seems to be sort of a good place for him to be. And the fact that Incarnation is getting better every single day. He faced up against Slushi, who was pretty much like the best force of teammate all last split, and actually is like a well-respected mid laner. And we have Incarnation winning lane against him. Like, okay, cool. You won a lane that's supposed to be pretty close against a good player. Finally, Incarnation's starting to do good things. This is all, a bunch of good signs for C9.
Yeah, the Emperor's Divide was really heartbreaking there, where it didn't push him back. I was like, what could have happened in that universe where it actually hit? Screw my pen. Anyway, what would have happened where that would have hit? What would Incarnation have done? He probably would have flashed away. He wouldn't have had that later. So Slushy's misplay there really opened up the game for Incarnation, and that they didn't leave up the pressure there. They were just like, let's keep going, let's keep fighting. And then Meteos shows up mid, and they played around mid lane. And I think this is going to become a winning formula for C9, is unlock the bottom lane, have Meteos camp around those sides. Because it used to be go top, camp for balls, unlock balls for TP plays.
Yeah.
Now I feel like playing around mid and bottom is something you're going to have to get used to, because it seems to work.
Yep, it'll be very interesting to watch how they develop the champion pools in terms of unlocking that bot lane as just a straight up 2v2, so that Meteos can pay more attention to the mid lane and helping Incarnation out. Don't go anywhere, though. After the break, we'll see if TSM can tame Team Dragon Knights. North American LCS returns after this.
You'd get like 50,000.
Stream on stage. If you stream on stage.
Got a 420 nation from They're on Baron right now. Go check it. Hey, yo, Sneaky, look, Dorothy, thank you for the donation.
May save his life. Oh! He's got just about 10 HP. And the absolute zero zones out the fight just enough, but he stays in range for the piercing arrow.
Yo, Azir jumped in. Kill Azir. I'm helping Sneaky. Fizz in the back.
I'm helping.
We got Fizz. Push mid.
Cali Troll still has a good amount of damage, but Sneaky has the peel. He has the kite. He has the quadra kill. Cloud9 take down teammate.